I know.
There's only one thing that's running through my soul, and that is
Hey, happy hump day and welcome to the Crimson Dynasty. I'm your host. My name is C'Chi. We're one of the shows here on the Bama Standard Network. And, we changed our schedule up a little bit. So now we're not seeing y'all as often, but we're here every other week. So before we jump in, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you don't miss any content, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any videos that we drop throughout the week. Like I mentioned, I'm the host here. We have two awesome co-hosts. We have JB and we also have Dan James the fourth. So, and they're part of other shows here on the network, so they'll promote those towards the end. We have a really good show tonight. No guests, unless somebody decides to appear, but we have some hot topics that we think y'all will be excited about. And, just be sure to light up that live chat because we do have a Q&A segment towards the end. But before we jump in, I do want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Limestone Company. We always tell you that if you're looking to add a natural stone in or around your home, don't settle for subpar materials. Check out Limestone Company's natural stone products to meet all your product and your home needs. And they're actually located in Oneonta, Alabama. I know somebody tried to call me out for mispronouncing that, but whatever. They're located in Oneonta, Alabama, like I said, and they're one of the oldest and most trusted sources in the state. So contact them directly if you have any questions and use promo code the Bama Standard to receive 10% off of your first order. If you're watching us on X right now, be sure before the show ends to head over to YouTube, search the Bama Standard, and be sure to subscribe there so that you can actually engage with us in the live chat. Now, let's go ahead and just jump right in. I'm going to start with something we were actually anticipating hearing from the class of 2026 cornerback Jorden Edmonds. Today was supposed to be his decision day, and he's actually from the state of Georgia. He seems to be trending towards Alabama. He can also play at other positions as well. He had over 600 yards last year, 4 touchdowns, I believe, at that wide receiver position. He also runs track, and they had some things going on at his school, which basically prevented them from being able to have a decision day today. But we only have officially one commit in the 2026 class, and so we were hoping he would be the second one today, but I'm sure we'll hear from him soon. But I want to get y'all's takes really quickly. Although we didn't, get that commit today, I'm sure he's going to reschedule for another day soon. How do y'all feel about this? I mean, do y'all, from what you're hearing, do you feel like he's still trending towards Alabama, or is there another school in the mix? And Dan, I'll start with you on this one.
I still like where Alabama sits with him. Teams are coming at him hard. He's a guy that fits the mold of what we like in the defensive backfield. 6'3", 170 plus pounds. Track athlete, like you said. He can project at multiple positions. He has long arms. We've been hitting it in the defensive backfield when it comes to recruiting, and I expect that trend to continue with Jorden Edmonds.
Same. All right. And JB, what are your thoughts? I mean, are you feeling the same?
Yeah. He's from Marietta. It's always good to get a Georgia kid. And his birthday is actually today, February 19th. Yeah. So happy birthday to the kid. Yeah. I saw Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Oklahoma, some of the teams that's after him. Hopefully we can stay in that mix and get him, because like you mentioned, we only have one commit in the 2026 class in the secondary. So we need another cornerback. Plus, we have guys that's probably going to move on and go pro, like Damani Jackson, after this season, if they play well. So, this is definitely a hit if we can get him locked in. So we'll be keeping our eyes on him to see when his decision day comes.
Right. Yeah, it'll be big. It would have been great, with it being his birthday, if he would have made that decision today, because that would have given him something to celebrate. But hopefully we'll hear something soon. Now, speaking of recruiting, we want to kind of dive deeper into this because there are a few other names that we mentioned previously, but there are some other names that have come up. So when we talk about recruiting now, another part of that, another aspect of that for Bama Nation is also coaches. Now, I just found out that we just hired another analyst from the New England Patriots. He's a wide receiver coach there, but we hired him as an analyst, and he is a familiar face amongst our current staff because he was at Washington in 2023 under Coach DeBoer. I believe he was more on the offensive side in terms of quality control. His name is Tyler Hughes, and he's actually worked pretty closely with Ryan Grubb, Nick Sheridan, Jamarcus Shepard. So I think just that familiarity, and I'm kind of lumping this in with recruiting because that's kind of what we've been doing, from a coaching perspective as well. But I think just that familiarity and Coach DeBoer working in a spot for him, even if it's an analyst, that speaks volumes. Because like I said, he was the wide receiver coach for the New England Patriots. So that's one thing that I wanted to mention, but I want to mention some names to y'all as well and get your take. So there's one guy in particular. He's the running back from the class of 2026. He's a power back, Jonaz Walton. He's a guy, he's from the state of Georgia, and he's actually listed as a top 10 running back in the nation for the 2026 class. And so one of the big questions right now is, can Alabama land him? Like I said, he's from the state of Georgia. That doesn't seem to be a problem for Alabama to recruit from these southern states. But a couple of things that I wanted to mention is that his freshman year, he had over 200 rushing yards in 3 games in specific, and I believe in about 9 games over 100 yards. So that's huge. But it's safe to say that he's pretty much a competitor. I mean, he swims, he does track and field, he does a lot. And what I saw was that we actually made an offer to him in 2023 while Coach Saban was still there. So you can kind of put things into perspective from that angle. Now, he wasn't in attendance for our junior day, but he was in attendance for Notre Dame's in Tennessee. And I mentioned that because apparently he had quite a bit of interest in Tennessee, but things kind of got shaken up a little bit just a couple weeks ago, because he listed Alabama in his top 10, and it was shortly after the running back coach at Notre Dame left. And he said that particular coach played a huge role into why he wanted to go to Notre Dame in the first place. So with him gone, it's kind of like up in the air. Is he still interested? I believe the replacement coach they got, he was at Penn State, and he tried to get him at Penn State, and he wasn't interested. So I think that there is a door of opportunity there for Alabama. I mean, fingers crossed, because I do think that we need to kind of build up that running back room. And I think too, I believe our coaches that we have now, they're understanding how in the SEC we do have to rely on the run game. So before I mention any other names, I want to get y'all's takes on Jonaz in particular. I'll start with you, JB. How do you feel about him? I mean, because when you look at him on paper, he's that power back that we want, and it makes sense to me why he was recruited under Coach Saban, because that's kind of like that prototypical running back that we would typically go for. So how do you feel about him coming from the state of Georgia? He was interested in Notre Dame. Now with the changes there, he's listed Alabama in his top 10. Do you feel like this is a guy that we could potentially get?
Yes, I like him a lot. I actually looked at his highlight tapes. He looks good. Mm-hmm. You mentioned him running track, so he has the speed and he has power. He's a strong body. He has a powerful, stiff arm, and he played at Carrollton. At Central High School in Carrollton. Yes, in Carrollton. Yeah. Yes. So 5'9", 190. Alabama, Auburn's on the list. Georgia, Florida, and Miami. Some of the teams in his top 10, and you mentioned him going on the visits to Notre Dame and Tennessee. He went to those junior days for both of those schools. So, but we still got a long, it's a long year to be able to recruit him. We need a powerful running back like this so we can get him locked in. I think it'll be great for the 2026 class. But I like this kid a lot. What I saw on film, I really like it.
Let me ask you a question, because I know here we like to kind of do comparisons sometimes. Based on what you saw with his film, is there a power back under the Saban era that you will compare him to?
Oh, that's a tough one. I don't want to put too much pressure on the kid,
No, put it on him. Hey, he likes to compete. I mean, if you're looking at Alabama as a choice, you like to compete.
We had some Trent, some Bo. We had some power backs there. Yeah. But that's high praise to throw those names out so early. But but he could possibly go to a 5-star, I believe. I mean,
yeah,
but he's fast and he's big, and that's what you need playing in the SEC. Most definitely playing at Bama.
Exactly. Dan, how are you feeling? We know that you're the lead recruiting analyst on the network. So how are you feeling about Jonaz? Do you feel like you feel like that door has opened up a bit more with the whole fiasco that's going on with Notre Dame?
Yes. Bama's back in it. I expect Alabama, to take 2 running backs in this class. We have was really high on Xavier Crowell, in-state running back, and Jonaz Walton, like you say, a freak. He's out of Georgia. We've had success in the state of Georgia.
Yeah.
I love his vision when he gets into the open field. He's a home run hitter. Not just power, but he has the ability to take it to the house. And he plays high level competition. So it's someone that Alabama is really gonna evaluate through the spring, and we'll see. We'll just follow the visit, see how that goes.
Yeah, I agree. And like you said, I think JB, you were saying that he could end up being a 5-star running back. So it sounds like from what y'all are saying, I mean, the sky's the limit for him. He's one of those guys that, that ceiling is going to be high. It's going to be really high, especially if he can be developed well. Now, I did want to mention some more names. However, like I said, we only have one commit right now in the class of 2026, and that's the cornerback Zion Gibson. He's from Gaston City, Alabama, and the reason why I want to mention him is because he's a pretty quiet guy, but apparently he's been helping Alabama on a whole different level in terms of recruiting. And that's what you want to see, because Ryan Williams, Jalen Mbakwe, they were doing the same thing. So what I heard was that he's reached out to certain guys that we've actually been talking about a lot here on the network. Quarterback out of Tennessee, Jarrett Curtis. You just mentioned the running back Xavier Crowell from Alabama, wide receiver Tristan Keys. I mean, it's quite a few. You have Cedarian Morgan, Brandon Arrington. A lot of these guys he's reaching out to specifically. And he actually said that Cedarian Morgan, we may be hearing something from him soon. So it sounds like he's really pushing. And I think just having it makes a difference when you have guys who are committed. And I know we say sometimes here with the state of football, it's kind of like, what does that really mean nowadays? But I do think it's good when you have those commits and they bought into that degree. But I mentioned Brandon Arrington because he's a guy, and I know that you mentioned Dan on our previous episode a couple weeks ago, that he's pretty much the best athlete in the class and in the 2026 class. And this is a guy that we really want to get. He's out of California. He's a sprinter, very fast guy, a little over 180 pounds, really good. I'm hoping that we can get him, because what I heard was that just like the guy down in Florida with Brandon Arrington, he had a full house. Basically, he had Courtney Morgan, Coach DeBoer, Jamarcus Shepard, Moling, all of them flew out to visit him. And they said it was a private meeting. So I think that speaks volumes when you have the coaches go out like that. So we'll see what happens. We did see as well the running back that y'all mentioned, Xavier Crowell out of Alabama. He's another guy. And I know that, Dan, you said a couple weeks ago that he's going to probably be the top priority in terms of running back for Alabama for this class. But he posted something recently, I believe today on X, basically saying that he's locked in with Alabama. You still have the linebackers, Sincere Johnson. It's quite a few guys where if we really sat here and named everyone, we wouldn't really have time. But I wanted to mention, because there's one guy in particular, he's a linebacker, Isaiah Williams out of Florida. We talked about him before, and he's kind of committed and decommitted to a few different schools: Louisville, Syracuse, Florida State. I believe Florida State was the most recent that he decommitted from. Well, of course, he has his sights on Alabama, and he's scheduled an official visit in June. So it's going to be interesting to see, what we can do with him. You have the edge rusher, Kamarian Johnson. He's from the state of Alabama. He'll be visiting Alabama in June as well. But apparently, Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin, they're really going after him. He's an in-state guy. So we need to be able to get him. So I'm not going to name anyone else just yet. I want to get y'all's takes on them really quickly. Dan, I know I said a lot of names, but most of them we talked about just a couple weeks ago. Who do you feel is maybe trending a little bit more so towards Alabama now? And then from the class of 2026 in and of itself, is there anyone else that you feel like we should mention?
Yeah, one guy you mentioned slightly was Sincere Johnson. You know, a guy out of Ohio, 6'1", 220-pound linebacker. He is a thumper. You know, he's Ohio State is very high on him.
Yeah.
You know, but he's really considering Alabama. You know, so Alabama is a threat, just like we were with Justin Hill.
Justin Hill, yeah.
So it's going to be a tough pool, but you know, hey, Alabama is very much in it, very, very much in it. I like where Alabama sits right now, just right now, because you know it's 2026, and you know, and kids are different, you know. But right now, I like where Alabama sits. You know, I still like where we sit with Brandon Arrington. And there's a couple of other guys I want to mention. You know, as far as the secondary go, we already have Zion Gibson committed. Like where we sit with Jorden Edmonds. But look at these guys. We're in the top 2 to 3 of. You know, we got Brandon Arrington, Elbert Hill. You know, a guy like Caden Harris. You know, out of Tennessee. You know, if we can get two or three of those guys, man, it'll be another elite haul at the cornerback position. You know, so that's insane what Mo Linguist and the staff, Courtney Morgan, is doing right now when it comes to recruiting in the secondary at the University of Alabama. But also, you know, Sedarian Morgan, you know, he's a time receiver in state. You know, I think it's the top 2 at Alabama and Auburn. You know, I like where Alabama sits. You know, we'll continue to see how it goes, how the visits go throughout the spring and everything. You expect other teams are going to come in, last minute bags, things like that. You know, so you know, but Alabama is very much in it, sitting in a very good position with him. Anthony Tank Jones, another defensive lineman, edge rusher. You know, Alabama sits in prime position with him as well, you know, just to name a few. But, you know, it starts, I think we will have a much better season in state this year.
I think so too. And speaking of which, I'm glad you said that. You know, that's something that Coach Saban, under that Coach Saban era, that was something that we did very well. I know he had help with other coaches, but being able to recruit so well in state, and you always want to get those guys. Like, I still feel like I don't understand how we missed out on Peter Woods. Now, I know he said that he felt like he, you know, that's where the Lord wanted him to go, was Clemson, but I'm just like, dang, like we should have been able to get him. You mentioned with Sincere Johnson, the linebacker out of Cleveland, Ohio, he has an official visit scheduled for Alabama. I believe it's May 30th, around May 30th. So, and I believe we may be the first of his 4 official visits. So, like you said, Ohio State, they're really gunning for him, but hopefully we can get him. And there was another guy, JB, and I'm going to toss it to you. He's a tight end. He's from the state of Illinois. He's another guy. He's listed as the number 6 tight end in the class, and he's been trending towards Alabama as well. His name is Mac Sutter. And so even looking at things from that perspective in terms of tight ends, because, you know, CJ Dupree, Robbie Oates going to the draft. We still have Danny Lewis Jr., Jade Lindsey, you know, wish we could have kept Caleb Odom, because I feel like if he would have stayed with Ryan Grubb coming in, I feel like they would have put him back at that tight end position 100%. But how do you feel with the guys that we've named so far? And is there anyone else that you would mention?
Yeah, so with the piggyback on the tight end, I think he's going to want to see how we use the tight ends this year. You know, and then we got Marshall Pritchard that came in, and
and then they got Caleb Edwards. Yeah.
So I guess he's going to probably want to see how we use those guys, you know, coming in. Josh Quavers will probably be the starter at tight end. So we'll see how that goes. But running back, I'm going to go back to running back, Isaiah Crowell. I really like him. Now, if Coach Rob G can get Crowell and Walton, if he can get those 2 backs in this 2026 class, it'll be something else. Now, also, they're going to want to see how we run the ball this year, too.
Yeah.
You know, we did not run the ball enough last year, as everybody knows. Now we expect to run the ball more, expect to use these backs, and maybe lose some backs. So you got to keep recruiting for the next cycle. So if we can get those 2 top backs, especially the in-state kids, it'll be great. It'll be great. And you mentioned those in-state kids, the wide receivers, and anything we're competing with Auburn on in-state, we have to come out on top, because they are kicking our behind in the in-state kids right now. So we got to get some of them for the 2026 class.
I mean, I started to say something, but I'm not going to take it there because y'all know I like to just go off about
I
Raggedy
know.
Auburn, thinking that they're going to come up in Tuscaloosa and beat our men's back. That's all right because we got to play y'all again. Don't worry about it. Now I will say, because you mentioned a good point regarding the running backs, kind of wanting to sit back and see what we do in terms of the run game, and I feel like that's a part of why Ryan Grubb's comments a few days ago, really took off the way they did, because he said it. He just went out and said it. He's like, we're going to be more efficient on moving the ball down the field. We know how Ryan Grubb, honestly, the guys who hit that portal on offense, I think some of them going to have some regrets, because I feel like this is the offense that we wish we could have seen this past season. But, we got the people that we need, So, but I wanted to mention a couple other guys, but they're actually from the class of 2027. Now, I know that's kind of looking a little far ahead, but you kind of have to do that, especially, the Alabamas of the world. So there's a guy, he is a running back, class of 2027, Noah Roberts, and he's from the state of Arizona, 6'1", 190 pounds, and he already has over 20 offers. And even just as a sophomore, he had over 1,000 yards, over 20 touchdowns. This guy's elite. He actually, he already visited a couple schools, and he's planning to visit Alabama around March 31st. And he has some comments to say about Alabama as well. So it sounds like he's been watching Alabama, even being all the way out there on the West Coast. He was basically saying that Alabama has a really great history as far as getting guys to the NFL. He was saying that he grew up watching Alabama, and that Coach DeBoer has a very creative offensive play calling style that's actually led, a team, Washington, to the national championship. So just hearing those words from him, and as we're talking about running backs, that'll be another guy that I'm sure we'll target. But there's one other guy, and we mentioned him, I want to say it was a few months ago, because he had met up with Coach DeBoer. He's from the class of 2027. He's a quarterback, Trent Seaborn. He's from Alabaster, Alabama. Now, he also already has offers to over 20 schools. And the reason why we mentioned him a few months ago was because this guy, he had a 7-figure NIL offer at 16 years old from a trading card company out of the state of Texas. And I think, Dan, you were on that episode at that time, and I made a point. I said we need to keep our eyes on the schools that he get offers from, because that specific company is headquartered in Texas. A part of the NCAA bylaws when it comes to NIL is that these particular subsidiary, that's how I look at them, but they're individual companies that are basically kind of doing what they want. You still have the bylaws from the NCAA, but what I feel like is going to happen is you have these third parties that are making these huge NIL deals, which I think that's what this trading card company was doing. And you're not supposed to use that as a way to get a player to go to a school within your state. So like the Texas A&M of the world, of course, that particular company would have the 7 figures. So the fact that happened, I'm still watching it. He hasn't gotten an offer yet from a Texas school, but I'm still watching that, because I feel like if he happens to choose, being an in-state guy, if he chooses a Texas school, keep your eyes on that, because I bet that offer is going to stay on the table. His dad essentially gave him the option. He was 16 years old, but he gave him the option. He's like, is this something that you want? And he said no. So I think that says, something about him as well. But I want to get y'all's takes. I know I said a lot, but I want to get y'all's takes, because I feel like those two guys in particular, Noah, the running back, and then Trent from the 2027 class, I feel like they're worth mentioning. JB, any thoughts on them in particular? And then do you feel any type of way as far as, Trent being 16, getting a 7-figure NIL offer from the state of Texas?
Well, yeah, I heard about that quarterback. I didn't hear about that offer, but I heard about the quarterback. Yeah. He's pretty good. But man, you getting offers like that at 16, still got 2 more years of high school. I don't know, man. It's a crazy game out there. Crazy world we're living in with this NIL. But I think Texas is the state of Texas, with those schools you mentioned, Texas and Texas A&M, and they're gonna be playing those funny games. But the 2027 guys, I don't get too excited about, but the guys you did mention, it's good to be on the radar early with them, kind of watch them through their junior year in high school, and then maybe after the year, lock in with them as seniors. So it's always good to recruit ahead, but I don't get too excited because they flip so much. And that's the only thing that really bothers me. It's the flipping, you flip 5 times before you sign.
Hey, flipping like that burger Dan was eating before we started. Dan knows something about flipping.
That's right.
No, I know. I agree, man. I agree. And I feel like with Noah, the running back out of Arizona, over 1,000 yards as a sophomore, over 20 touchdowns. What?
Yeah,
That's
it's
someone.
big.
Yeah. And I always like, especially under Coach Saban, I always would remember when we did really well. We won the Natties. It seemed like we had like that pair of running backs that complemented each other really well. We thought we were going to see that with Jam Miller and Justice Haynes, but we could very well see that this year with Jam Miller and Richard Young. So just kind of keeping that in the back of our minds. You got AK Deer coming in. It's just we have a lot to look forward to. So I'm still hoping that we keep Noah on our radar, that we show him some love. Like I said, he's visiting Tuscaloosa in about a month, or about 5 to 6 weeks. So hopefully we can get him. Dan, how do you feel about the names I mentioned, and any thoughts regarding that 7-figure? And I mean, do you feel like the NCAA should have some rules set up to where even like the age limit?
I laugh at that because before we get rules established when it comes to NIL, the NCAA will no longer be.
True.
It'll
They'll
be
have to be
something
bought
else.
out.
The NCAA is going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah, they're gonna get bought. Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's insane. That people are willing to, pony up that much money for a 16-year-old kid. That projects well. You know what I'm saying? So it's just the time that we're in. It's teams that are desperate to win championships. And teams are willing to spend it. They got the money to do it. I don't blame them for doing it. But kids now have an opportunity to that never had before. Opportunity to provide for themselves and their family. Trent Seaborn, he's a intriguing guy. He has a lot of upside. He looks the part. For a 2027 kid. But you still, too early to project, that early, but as far as Noah Roberts, man, when I saw his film, I loved it. He's a guy, he runs upright. Reminds me kind of like TJ Yeldon, who I compare to Eric Dickerson, with that running style when TJ Yeldon first came out. He's very similar, tall, long strider, patient runner, so he's somebody that Alabama, I think, is gonna be on until signing day 2027. It's too early to get really excited about 2027 guys because so much happens in the NIL era and era of recruiting. But there's definitely 2 guys that are definitely on Alabama's radar.
Yeah. Well, all those coaches charting up a jet and flying out to meet different guys. They need to be having one set aside, a date set aside for him, because they have to hit Arizona hard for him. Now, before we jump into our next topic, I do want to give a shout out to our other sponsor, WhitwellSports.com. We always tell you that your game day is not the same and your A day is not the same without a title towel. So I have mine packed up, but shout out to Whitwell Sports. They always show love. Be sure to use promo code STANDARD for an exclusive discount. And then it looks like we have a super chat as well. Let's see. Okay, shout out to William Morris. Is this Bob? I think this is Bob. Potentially. I am 100% positive that our offense will be vastly improved next season. Roll Tide. I agree. I feel like it's going to be, I don't know. I feel like we're going to be on a whole different level. And I feel like we'll say, yeah, that's Bill from New York. Shout out to Bill. Shout out to Bill. We don't see you a lot around the Crimson Dynasty space, but hopefully we'll see you more in the coming weeks. But shout out to you. Thank you for the super chat. All right. Well, I did. And like I said, at the beginning, we will have our Q&A segment towards the end. So go ahead and drop your questions and then we'll address as many as we can. But I do want to kind of get into, because we're talking about next season or this upcoming season, who do we feel like should step up and be leaders on both sides of the ball, offense and defense? Now, I'll say, at least from my perspective, of course, whoever QB1 is going to be, I would say, I feel like it's going to be Ty. I know what Ryan Grubb said a few days ago when he was basically saying he's not going to show any favoritism. They're going to have to compete. It's not going to be about seniority or anything like that. So that could that could mean anything, but I feel like the QB one is going to have to step up in terms of leadership. Personally, I would like to see Jaden Roberts, and I say him for a reason, because we've had him here on this network a couple times, and then I did an interview with him and his agency last year. And one thing that I noticed with him is that he's like a gentle giant, if you will, and I can see those leadership traits in him. But another thing is that he's respected, and I feel like that's something that the guys on offense, and not even just that, but his experience. He's been there for a while. He knows, the system, even the newer system that's been there with DeBoer. So I feel like it'll be good to see him step up, because we're going to have some new people on that O-line, whether it's, the Ionatas, different guys who really didn't play that much, or the ones that's coming in, Cam Dewberry, the transfer. So I feel like we're going to have someone, like a Jaden Roberts step up. So hopefully he does. On defense, I got, I want to say Deontay Lawson, but I know that he's more of like the quiet leader type. So, but I feel like we can see more out of him this year, and especially with the fact that he decided to come back, I feel like he could be one. Potentially, I'm looking at like a Tim Keenan III, and I just say that because of the experience. He did really well last year. But on the DB side, I'm looking at Damani, because we know that he transferred in last year, or last year was his first year at Alabama from USC. This will be his second year at Alabama, and he did very well last season. And he actually could have gone to the draft, and he would have been drafted pretty high. So the fact that he came back, I think the Xavier Browns of the world, they're going to look to him for that leadership. And so I don't know. Those are the guys that I have. JB, I'll ask you on both sides of the ball, who do you feel like should step up from a leadership perspective?
Yeah, they really need a leadership committee, and they need everybody all on one accord, And you mentioned Ty Simpson. If he wins the starting quarterback job, no question. He's been there the longest. He's going to be, the voice for all of them to hear. He's going to be right there leading the ship. So if it's Ty, if he wins the job, yes, he would be one of the leaders. I don't know how vocal he is, but he seems to have a good rapport with the guys. They went fishing or camping or something like that. So he seems to be very well liked in that locker room from what I've heard. I'm going to throw another guy out there who's been around waiting his turn, Jam Miller. Jam Miller, yeah, from the running back room. He's got he's the lead dog in the running back room right now. I don't know how vocal he is, but I would like to see somebody with that dog in him. I want to see Jam Miller take it up a notch. I felt like he had another notch. He could have took it up, but he didn't get the opportunity. He didn't get the carries. So I want to see Jam Miller this year, see what he does. Offensive line, Jaden Roberts or Caden Proctor. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the big guys up front that's coming back, because we're gonna have somebody's got to replace Tyler Booker. We lost Pritchard, of course, and Parker Brailsford is gonna be the glue guy at center. But I like what you said about Jaden Roberts. Gentle giant, he's a huge guy. He's very likable. Everybody likes Jaden Roberts, but I think he can be a dog on that front line, and they'll just follow him. They just follow him. Defensively, Tim Keenan. I want Tim Keenan the third to just take it. Yeah. Take the leadership position.
Just take it.
Yes, because he's the guy. This is Tim Keenan's year. This is his year to be the big dog in the locker room. He needs to be the big dog on that defense, on that defensive front, And I mean, I like it. And I know you mentioned Lawson too. I'm gonna say another guy, Keon Sabb. Keon Sabb's coming back on that secondary. Unfortunately, he got injured, but he seemed to be the number one cheerleader for those guys, even on crutches, even when he was injured. So I expect him to come back with a lot to prove and be a leader in that secondary as well. So we got quite a few guys, take that leadership role, or captains per se. I don't know who the captains are going to be, but that remains to be seen. But those are the guys I like that I would nominate.
Yeah. I thought about Jam Miller as well, but I was like, man, like it's hard to call it if he has that. We don't see him be very vocal, but he does seem like the type that people would follow, So hopefully we see that. Dan, so who do you have as far as who you feel like on both sides should step up from a leadership perspective? And you're muted.
I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm old school. So what I would do, I put everybody in the bull ring.
Oh gosh.
Okay.
Not the bull ring.
Maybe you know what I'm talking about. The bull ring. Put them in the bull ring. And whoever comes out, that's the supreme leader.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's how we used to determine back in the day. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, but guys on the defensive side of the ball, I'm gonna start with, I like guys that been in the program a while, a few years. So a guy I'm gonna say he's going into year 3, and he came in and made an impact. He changed the defense once he was put in. Is a guy like Bray Hubbard. He been through it. He came in, earned his position. He's done an excellent job once he got there. That's a guy I look for to take on more of a leadership role. Of course, you got guys like Damani Jackson, like you said, Tim Keenan.
Yeah.
I love to see him. Deontay Lawson. What this year 5 for him.
Yeah.
So without a doubt, he has a lot of wisdom that he can share with younger guys and with the team. On the offensive side of the ball, the line, you start with Jaden Roberts, Parker Brailsford, guys like that.
Yeah.
The quarterback, Ty Simpson, you of course you want your quarterback to be the leader of your team. So, Ty Simpson wins the job, which I would say he's the leader in the clubhouse right now. I for a guy like him. Other than that, those are prime candidates. Jam Miller, of course. I expect him to get more involved in the run game. Ryan Grubb will be able to implement him more into our run game. Richard Young. So we have plenty of guys that's plenty of candidates, but who will actually take the bull by the horn, like Coach Saban used to say, and be able to be true leaders on the team remains to be seen.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. I mean, basically the door is open. The door is open. And I feel like those coaches are going to be looking to see who's going to, step up as well. But speaking of which, when we talk about the guys who have been there for a while, let's talk about Keon Keeley. Because a lot of not even just this show, but other shows on our network, we've mentioned him a few times, just not seeing him as much. So just for the viewers, which, I'm sure y'all remember him, but he came in with the 2023 class and he's from Tampa, Florida, big guy. He was actually a 5-star recruit out of high school. And he also played basketball as well. I believe it was Berkeley Prep. And I believe he was the number 1 edge rusher at one point based on 247. And he was touted as being very powerful off the edge, being able to collapse the pocket of the opposing teams. And this past season, he was actually moved from outside linebacker to defensive lineman. And, maybe we'll see that change, especially considering who we have coming back versus who we don't. And so he did play in just a few games. He even played in the game against Michigan, but he didn't really have, a whole lot of stats. And so maybe I personally feel like some of it has to do with maybe the coaching changes and then who he played behind. But I do feel like the fact, because a lot of us thought that he was going to hit the portal, right? But the fact that he decided to come back, that made me believe that maybe Coach Womack kind of, sat with him and kind of talked about where he sees him fitting in. And so the question that I have, and I'm going to pose it to the audience as well, and then I'm going to ask y'all as well, because I'm kind of scratching my head, like, being that he was the number 1 edge rusher out of high school, looking at what we kind of have right now, particularly at that wolf position, of course, with Q-Rob going to the draft, you have Keanu at Vanderbilt. We still have guys like Quay Roussard, Yunze Pierre that we kind of plug in there, potentially, possibly Noah Carter. I don't know. But I'm curious if we'll see Keon Keeley at Wolf or at Bandit, because at Bandit, guys like Jamarian Latham, you have guys like LT Overton. I personally, you don't have a guy like Keon come to Alabama from the state of Florida, 5-star recruit, as good as he is, and move him. You know what I mean? Like, I could see that possibly last year because we had Q-Rob and we had Keanu. So maybe it had more to do with depth to some degree. I don't know. But I personally would prefer to see him at that wolf position. So I want to get y'all's takes on this. JB, I'll start with you. How do you feel about, for one, with Keon deciding to come back to Alabama when he could have left? And so that's good for Alabama. But then do you see them having him more at Wolf or Bandit, or even a different position?
Yeah, that means a lot for him to come back. Everybody expected him to hit the portal, like you mentioned. Didn't get a lot of playing time, only got into 5 games, 3 tackles. And he played mostly in the end of the games, garbage time. Didn't he lose weight? He had to cut some weight or something like that, or did they try to put weight onto him? I can't remember.
They put weight on.
Okay. So they put weight on him. Now Wolf, you got Quay there. I think this probably will be his breakout year too. Yancey Pierre still trying to get in. Maybe he can fit in that Wolf position.
Yeah,
you mentioned Carter as well. Because Bandit, you looking at LT Overton. Even Kelby Collins coming in. Kelby Collins coming in. He's gonna want to play. Jordan Renard, who showed yes. So Bandit seems to be really. It's gonna be tough for him to fit in there. Maybe he can fit in that Wolf position. It's gonna be interesting to see where he is at A-Day. They're doing the winter conditionings now. He's gonna get in prime shape, and then they get out there for spring ball. So it's gonna be very interesting to see where they have him at in the spring, to see where he fits in the depth chart, because he's 5-star talent, very capable. They had plans for him that didn't pan out. Now it's another year, and another year in the same system. Hopefully he can find him a spot and he can get on the field this year.
I agree. And like you said, that Bandit role, it seems like that's kind of locked down to some degree. And it seems like, especially this past season, K-Rob did really good. But, that was something that a lot of us complained about, is just not being able to put a lot of pressure on the quarterbacks from that edge. So I would prefer to see him there, to be honest. But Dan, how do you feel? What do you think that says? The fact that he could have hit the portal, he decided to come back, coming out of high school, a 5-star recruit, as highly touted as he was, and the fact that he decided to stay. How do you feel like that? What do you feel like that says about him? And then where do you feel like he's going to fit in? Do you think that he'll be more of a Wolf on the team, or more of a Bandit?
Well, that says a lot about him as far as his character and his competitiveness. Of course, he had every opportunity to leave, but he chose to stay. Guys like that, you have to love and respect. You want to see guys like that succeed.
Yeah.
However, it's going to have to be at the Bandit position. There's going to be because we've already moved Jamarian Latham. He came back. We talked him coming back as a Wolf. So Jamarian Latham is moving over to the Wolf position now.
They're gonna make him lose. Well,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's already done. So,
okay.
But so Keon Keeley, he's being projected at the Bandit position. I think I still expect big things from him. He just had to adjust to the position change and a new system. So, that's where spring is going to be his most. This spring is going to be his most important spring he's had since he's been on campus. He's a guy that's on the clock and a guy that we're going to wish very well. And I truly believe he can be a standout player at the capstone for us.
And it's going to be, it would behoove the coaches to have him playing both in A-Day. I would try him at both, even in Noah Carter, for sure. Because Noah was the one that came in for Washington, right?
Right. From
yes.
He was a Washington commit. Yeah.
Right. Washington commit. Yeah. We didn't really get to see a whole lot of him last year, but he
enrolled late.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So that's going to be interesting. I think that'll be a good opportunity to kind of see them kind of plug and play different guys who got these different transfers coming in. Blake Dowd coming in as well from Colorado. So it'll be interesting. Now, I do want to shift gears a little bit and talk about, we talk a lot about football here, but let's kind of get into basketball. Talk about men's basketball. Unfortunately, we lost a little raggedy Auburn at home, which shouldn't have happened. So we dropped to number 4. We still got to play them again, but to me, what I saw in the second half, we tried to come back, but honestly, we just free throws, we weren't doing good. 3-pointers, we weren't good on defense, offensive rebounds. I'm just like, what is this? It was ridiculous. Our next game is going to be actually tonight. We play at Missouri, so that's going to be right after this show. So shout out to men's basketball. You know, I'm believing that we're going to kind of creep back up into that top 2 at least very soon. But and then shout out to our women's basketball as well, because as of last week, well, really after our win against Mississippi State on the road, we moved up to number 18. We moved up 3 spots, but not just that. This week on Monday, we played. I believe it was it Texas A&M, and we blew them out of the water. Like, yeah. We beat them by almost 40 points, and it's being said that it has more to do with how well we played defensively. And we had about 4 different players who had double-digit points. So the girls have been doing their thing. We have another game tomorrow at Tennessee, so shout out to them. Hopefully, you know, I don't know how y'all feel about that loss against Auburn. Like, that's unfathomable. Like, Auburn at home.
See,
What?
When they came out, when Auburn came out hot like they did, I said it was gonna be a long day. And we came back in the game. We just could not take the lead. And I mean, it just when the shots are not falling, we have to learn how to win games in other ways. If the 3 points are not falling, you got to win. You got to offensive rebound. You got to play defense. You got to get fast break points. And the thing I hate is when we get on the fast break and we stop at the 3-point line. Go to the basket.
Yeah. I mean, but that's the basics. Like,
take the ball to the front of the rim. When you have an outlet, you take the ball to the front of the rim. You do that.
Everybody running to the 3-point line. It's crazy, man.
And see, that's what Auburn did well. The offensive rebounds and defense. I mean, they did what we were supposed, but it's all good. We're going to play them again. They were ranked number 1 for a reason, right? But I'm like, how y'all have Pearl coming up in here? Like, man, please.
Yeah, and Janai Broome, we just didn't have an answer for him. He got anything he
and you
wanted.
got Drake, Drake's brother. And now, but did you see that in the second half when we tied the game, we had him flustered. I mean, we just should have, I don't know. I was hoping
down the stretch, we just didn't play well. We could have won that game. It wasn't like they blowed us out the building. We could have won the game. We just didn't execute. And I think Coach, I'm gonna watch the game tonight. I think he may play Fallon with Sears. He may play 3 guards. And I think we play better when we have 3 guards out there, because something's not clicking when we have Big Cliff and Nelson in the game at the same time. Something's not clicking.
That's true.
Because Cliff can't shoot threes and Nelson hasn't been on. So
did you see that attempt?
This game tonight is gonna tell me. This game is gonna tell me what I need to. Yeah, that attempt was terrible that he made. Yeah,
I didn't want to say nothing. Dan, how you feel, man? Because I know you were cutting up when you saw that game.
Yeah. But let me tell y'all this: we an offensive rebound, and we doubled them. I think it was 14-7 in offensive rebound. That's not where we lost the game. It was one place where we
in the first half. We lost the first half with it.
No, we lost the game at the 3-point line. We shot 19% from 3, while our, who happens to be the number 1 team in the country, shot 46%.
I mean,
that's a losing recipe. And that
free throws. We did bad on free throws.
We actually, let me see. If I
look, the numbers don't mean nothing to me right now, because what I saw out there, like,
you know how much Auburn shot? 68%,
and they still won.
Yes,
I mean, it's just
3-point line is really what killed us. Our 3-point shooting, we weren't hitting the shots,
and that's usually what we're doing well at.
Yeah, that's usually what we're doing well. Plus, we weren't hitting them at the rim either. We missed a bunch of layups. Yeah. So we shot 38% from the field, and they shot 46% from the field. So, yeah. So we lost it by simply not making buckets. 80. How many points? We scored 85 points. You win most games, but for us, we shot 80. We scored 85 points and shot terribly. That's why I still like our chances when we go to Auburn. When we go to Auburn, I think we can make adjustments and come out successful and victorious.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely. All right, what y'all think in the chat? Let us know. Well, we're gonna jump over to our Q&A segment. Let's see. what questions we have tonight. Shout out to Toughest Nails. Is Ryan Grubbs going to be the most impactful hire to get us in the playoffs? Honestly, I feel like he's going to be the best OC that we've had since Sarkisian. Would it be Sarkisian?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah, because he would have been the one. Because Sarkisian was there when we got the 2020 Natty, right, with Mac Jones. He was still there. Okay, then he went to Texas. Yep. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I would say, yeah. What y'all think?
I, without a doubt, agree, because offense is really what cost us this year.
Yeah.
So, yes, he's going to be the most impactful hire. And, for us to be successful, he's going to have to come in and fix the offense.
Yeah. What you think, JB?
Run the ball. Yep.
Hey, what's the other 3 words you like to use, JB?
Belt to ass. We didn't belt to ass nobody. See, we got to get back to that.
We did.
We used to do that.
Yeah. We did LSU. We did
LSU.
We did that.
We did. Hey, we did that to Auburn on the sideline. They got beat on the field and on the sideline, didn't it?
Yeah.
Just got beat up. That's all. Auburn State getting beat up. No, good question. And then Dan, did you go to all your brother's games when Chris was there?
Man, I say I went to a third of them. Yes, I went to a lot of them, man. There's a lot of memorable ones I had. I remember, going to Auburn, and we were 3-7, and the fans were really railing us and talking about, what kind of season y'all having, man. We went in there. When we left out of there, you could not hear a pin drop, man. I'm talking about, it was crazy.
But that's like the story of their lives, right? Yeah. Like they just talk.
Yeah, they talk. I mean, all before the game, man. I'm just trying to get to my seat.
I like.
And man, we took over. Yeah, we came in. No. We took over. Jorden had that game. Yeah.
I will never. Y'all look, LSU and Auburn. I have never and will never go to an away game. Like I refuse to be in their raggedy city at their raggedy stadium. Like y'all have to put me in a box. And like no, and that food have to be on point because ain't no way. Wow, like no, like and then Auburn come up in Tuscaloosa with Bruce Pearl, like they somebody. So now all of us are like
doing the crane kick. They doing the crane kick. We love that. That was so 5 years ago.
Just lame.
With a team of senior citizens.
I know. Oh, that's so gross. Okay. Shout out to Bill William Morris. Will Roberts be moved to tackle? Well, we did talk about Proctor being moved to guard, right?
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, but I think Roberts really is I would love to see him move to left guard. I think that is his prototypical position. I like to see him at left guard pulling, man. But we don't run the pistol enough for me. I love to get in the pistol, get the running back behind the quarterback and let Jay Robert and Proctor pull and just road grade on team, you know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
old school.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like these transfers that we have coming in on the O-line, I feel like they're going to do something special. You got the one coming, Cam Dewberry, I think that's the one from Texas A&M, and then you have the one coming from Colorado, right? Was he a O-lineman, I believe?
Which
Nikhil.
Oh, the linebacker.
Linebacker. Okay, never mind. Okay, he's linebacker. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it's gonna be a.
Is Dewberry a guard or he's a guard, right?
Yeah, he's a guard. He play both. Okay. Right tackle. I say more. He's definitely not a left tackle, but he can play guard, right tackle. Anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. They were at the game. Proctor and Formby had some of the team there. Showing love. Shout out to Toughest Nails. How important is Justin Jefferson? Man, look.
Oh yeah.
Look.
Yes, yeah.
We saw, I think Womack saw for one, anytime we put Justin Jefferson in the middle, we were successful at stopping the run. But when we saw the Vandy quarterback get that additional year of eligibility to be able to come back, that's when I knew. I said, look, if Justin Jefferson, if he really bought that life, if he really want to win that natty, he's going to fight it. He's going to try, and he's able to come back. So look, Justin Jefferson coming back, Deontay Lawson coming back, LT Overton. You got all Jamarian Latham, Damani Jackson, guys that could have left coming back. That speaks volumes as far as Kane Womack and how they, view what he's going to be doing going forward. So,
yeah.
And then I think we have another one. O'Neal, shout out to O'Neal. With Jalen Hill coming back, is he now the deep threat, or do we have 2 with him and Ryan Williams, man? Do we have 3 with Gerard, Jeremy Bernard?
Yeah, we have quite a few.
Isaiah Horton too. Don't forget about Isaiah Horton.
Exactly. And then you got Cole Adams. He'll be returning. Yeah. But now Cole, he wasn't really.
Yeah. Hey, what? He's a 10-4-10-5 guy. Yeah.
Yeah. I wish we could have seen more of him, but I know he got injured.
Space eater. He's a space eater. He gets out there and in space, and he knows how to get open. Horton. I think Horton will be a deep threat because he made some big catches at Miami. He's about 6'4", so.
Yeah. And he had a game when they played Georgia Tech. At Georgia Tech, he has some good has some really good plays. So like I said, man, I feel like guys like Caleb Odom, y'all know I was all about Caleb Odom when he came to Alabama. And I hate that he felt like he had to leave. I wish that we could have kept him with Ryan Grubb coming, because I truly believe that we would have moved him back to tight end. You don't have to have him at wide receiver, but dang.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe Lane, because
we get our second chance with Derek Meadows.
True. I don't know, man.
That's true.
But you know what though? Lane likes to put his foot in his mouth. He tends to say little stuff that may kind of like piss people off. So maybe he'll kind of rub Caleb Odom the wrong way, and then we can get it back. I don't know. I like his size. I like that he's. I don't know. I feel like he's that guy, and I hope that we can get him back at tight end. But maybe that's kind of that ship has sailed. At least we'll have Marsha Pritchett coming in soon. So, all right. Okay. Well, those are the questions at least that we're gonna take. We don't have Teeks take tonight. They'll be back on next week. Like I mentioned, they're rotating like us, so we're every other week, and they are too. So they'll be back next week. But in about 15 minutes, we have a show, kind of like an ad hoc little show that's going to be here on the network, talking about the top safeties. You'll probably hear some arguing back and forth. I won't be on there, but y'all might want to tune into that because that's going to be good. And then we have Going Hard in the Roman Harper. Yep, he'll be on as well.
Will be on there too. Yeah, and George T. Yeah,
and George T. Yeah, so it'll be interesting. And then we have Going Hard in the Paint tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Central. Do y'all have any socials that you want to drop, and then any other shows? Dan, I'll start with you on this one.
Yes, you can catch me on Twitter at The Final Whistle Dan. Catch me every Tuesday night, The Final Whistle, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central. You catch me every other Wednesday nights right here on this channel with my awesome cast you see here. The Crimson Dynasty, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central. And thank everyone in the chat. What's up, Keena P?
Yeah, shout out to you. We're it's gonna be live.
Late.
Yeah, that show that's coming up in about 15 minutes, that is going to be live, right? So y'all can be in the chat for that one. Yeah, Kenneth is always showing love. Thank you you're here literally every show, so we really appreciate it. Everyone in the chat, we really appreciate it. I think I saw Brian Russell, Ephraim, Bill was in, Amber Nicole, shout out to all y'all, Bob, Rutherford. Yeah, we appreciate it. All right, and then
I was looking at the chat. It said, shouts out to Plain True, Prattville's finest, Roman Harper. I got a story about Roman Harper. He's only a couple years older than me. I actually watched him play because I'm from Montgomery, and I went to Robert E. Lee High School. We played Roman Harper. I went to Lee, and we played Roman Harper.
I went to Brute.
Oh, you went to Brute. See?
Yeah, I was a class president, Man, but we didn't have a football team, though.
No, y'all didn't have a football team. Roman Harper was the quarterback. He was everything, punt returner. He was everything at Prattville. They called Prattville U at the time, Prattville University. Yeah, they were beating everybody back in the early.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
yeah. Roman was he was a dog. But y'all can follow me on Twitter X at Young underscore ENT underscore on IG at Sports Talk JB. The YouTube channel Sports Talk with JB. And on Sundays, Sunday Night Talking Bama. Me, JT, Stephen O. Smith, Herb. Sunday nights, 7 p.m. Central. And right here with the Crimson Dynasty on Wednesdays with C'Chi and Dan.
Yeah, I'm sure pretty soon we'll go back to the once a week. But like we said, we don't want it to be a lot of redundancy since we have a lot of shows here on the network, where we're all talking about the same thing. But all right, well, it's been good. Y'all can catch me on X at official C'Chi. I don't really post a whole lot on there though. And then you can find me on, because I really don't care about social media, to be honest. But then you can also find me on Instagram at beauty_of_intelligence. And that's gonna do it, y'all. We'll see y'all in about 2 weeks, unless something, some big news comes out. Like I said, hit the notification bell so that if we drop any videos throughout the week, y'all can catch them. For instance, if we hear from what's his name, Jorden Edmonds, regarding his commit for the 2026 class, so hopefully that'll be coming soon. But anyway, all right, well, we appreciate the viewership, and we'll see y'all soon. Roll Tide, roll.
Roll Tide.
Link.